Listen closely. Every breakthrough is announced before it arrives, not with noise, but with pressure, not with comfort, but with resistance. Before God changes your life, He changes you. Before the blessing shows up, the weight shows up. And most people quit right before heaven opens the door. If you're feeling stretched, tested, misunderstood, or isolated, you are not being punished. You are being prepared, because when God is about to give you something big, there are signs. And if you have eyes to see and faith to stand, pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. It is the unseen classroom where strength is taught without comfort and character is shaped without applause. Pressure shows up when growth is required, when the old version of you is no longer qualified to handle what's ahead. It tightens your schedule, tests your patience, and stretches your faith, because ease would never teach you discipline and convenience would never build endurance. Pressure forces focus. It strips away excuses, exposes weak habits, and demands responsibility. Under pressure, you learn how to stand when support is gone, how to decide when emotions are loud, and how to move forward when results are invisible. Pressure reveals what's real inside you: your commitment, your values, your resilience. It teaches you how to operate under weight, so that when opportunity arrives, you don't crumble under its responsibility. Nothing great is handed to someone who hasn't been trained to carry it. Pressure sharpens vision, toughens resolve, and conditions the mind to stay steady when everything feels heavy. What feels like resistance is often alignment, positioning you for a higher level of purpose, a greater assignment, a wider impact. Pressure is not meant to break you, delay you, or destroy you, but to strengthen your foundation so you can hold what you've been asking for, so you can walk into what's next prepared, grounded, and unshakable. God always develops the person before releasing the promise. Before the doors open, the discipline is built. Before the elevation comes, the integrity is tested. The promise is never just about what you receive, it's about who you must become to sustain it. Development happens in seasons that feel slow, hidden, and uncomfortable, where progress isn't measured by applause but by obedience. In that space, patience is strengthened, humility is formed, and faith is refined. God works on your mindset before He expands your environment, because a changed situation without a changed person leads to collapse. The waiting season teaches you how to carry responsibility, how to handle pressure, and how to remain grounded when success arrives. Character is shaped in private long before purpose is revealed in public. Delays are not denials, they are training grounds. Every challenge is intentional, every setback instructional, every quiet moment purposeful. When the promise finally manifests, it won't overwhelm you, confuse you, or destroy you, because the person receiving it has already been prepared to walk in wisdom, strength, and endurance. Comfort is the enemy of calling. Comfort sedates urgency and silences the inner push toward growth. It convinces you that staying still is safer than stepping forward, that familiar limits are better than unknown potential. Comfort feeds routine, not purpose, and routine slowly erodes vision. When life becomes too easy, discipline weakens, hunger fades, and the fire to pursue something greater begins to dim. Calling demands movement, risk, and sacrifice, but comfort negotiates excuses and delays obedience. It whispers that tomorrow is soon enough and that effort can wait, while purpose requires action now. Comfort keeps you warm but untested, busy but unfulfilled, protected but undeveloped. Calling, on the other hand, stretches you into spaces where faith replaces certainty and courage replaces convenience. Growth never happens in places where nothing is required of you. Every meaningful assignment asks you to leave what feels safe, release what feels familiar, and step into pressure that forces transformation. Comfort maintains who you are, but calling demands who you must become, and that journey only begins when you are willing to be uncomfortable, challenged, and exposed to the process that shapes strength, resilience, and destiny. Isolation is not rejection, it's refinement. It is the quiet workshop where distractions are removed and focus is restored. When the noise fades and the crowd disappears, clarity begins to form. Isolation pulls you away from opinions so you can hear instruction, away from comparison so you can discover identity. In separation, motives are purified and intentions are examined without interference. Refinement requires stillness because growth cannot happen when you are constantly performing for approval. Isolation exposes weaknesses that were hidden by company and strengthens disciplines that were neglected in comfort. It teaches self-reliance rooted in faith, not ego, and builds resilience without applause. What feels like loneliness is often alignment, positioning you to develop wisdom, patience, and emotional control. In isolation, you learn how to stand without support, decide without validation, and move without permission. Refinement sharpens vision, matures perspective, and prepares the mind to handle greater responsibility. Those who cannot survive isolation cannot sustain elevation, because purpose requires depth before it demands visibility, and refinement always comes before release. What leaves your life was never meant to go where you're going. Not every loss is a failure, and not every ending is a setback. Some departures are divine decisions made to protect your future. Certain people, habits, environments, and attachments can only survive in the version of you that no longer exists. As growth begins, misalignment becomes unavoidable. What once felt supportive starts feeling heavy, distracting, or limiting, not because something went wrong, but because something changed within you. Elevation demands lightness, and anything that cannot rise will eventually fall away. What exits your life makes room for clarity, focus, and strength. Holding on to what has expired only delays progress and drains purpose. Release is not weakness, it is wisdom. You are not meant to carry everything forward, because some things were only meant to teach you, not travel with you. Separation clears vision, strengthens resolve, and confirms direction. What stays must grow with you, and what cannot grow must go, because where you're headed requires alignment, discipline, and a level of commitment that not everyone and not everything can sustain as you continue moving forward into what demands more responsibility, more courage, and more faith. Faith grows strongest when feelings go silent, when emotions no longer offer reassurance and circumstances stop providing evidence. Belief is forced to stand on conviction alone. In that quiet space, faith is no longer supported by excitement, confidence, or visible progress, but by trust in what cannot yet be seen. Feelings fluctuate with conditions, but faith is forged when conditions no longer cooperate. Silence strips away emotional dependence and teaches spiritual endurance. It is easy to believe when everything makes sense, but true faith is developed when answers are delayed and clarity is withheld. In moments where motivation fades and enthusiasm disappears, commitment is tested and belief is refined. Faith becomes disciplined, rooted, and unshakable because it no longer relies on emotional highs. The absence of feeling strengthens resolve, sharpens obedience, and deepens trust. What begins as uncertainty becomes resilience, and what feels like emptiness becomes foundation. In the silence, faith matures into something steady, enduring, and powerful enough to stand when nothing else offers reassurance or comfort. Discipline is the bridge between prayer and promise. Prayer aligns desire, but discipline carries responsibility. Asking opens the door, yet consistency is what walks you through it. Without discipline, intention fades and faith remains unfinished. Discipline translates belief into action, turning hope into structure and vision into daily practice. It is built in routines no one applauds and decisions no one sees. While prayer speaks to heaven, discipline responds on earth. It requires repetition, sacrifice, and restraint long after motivation disappears. Discipline keeps you moving when progress feels slow and results remain invisible. It sharpens focus, guards priorities, and eliminates distractions that delay growth. Promises are not sustained by enthusiasm, but by habits rooted in commitment. Discipline strengthens patience, enforces standards, and prepares the mind to steward what has been requested. Every prayer answered carries weight, and discipline is what trains you to carry that weight without collapsing under it. You don't need approval when you have assignment. Purpose does not require permission, and calling is not validated by applause. Approval seeks consensus, but assignment demands obedience. When direction is clear, validation becomes unnecessary because conviction replaces confidence borrowed from others. Waiting for approval delays action and weakens resolve, placing your progress in the hands of opinions that were never meant to guide you. Assignment comes with responsibility, not popularity, and often requires moving forward before anyone understands. Those chosen to lead rarely receive agreement at the beginning. Approval focuses on being accepted, while assignment focuses on being effective. When you know what you are meant to do, hesitation becomes a distraction. Commitment grows when decisions are made from purpose rather than praise. Assignment sustains you through criticism, silence, and misunderstanding because it is rooted in clarity, not consensus. When you move with assignment, opposition loses its power and approval becomes irrelevant, because direction has already been established and the work must continue regardless of who claps or who doubts. Delayed does not mean denied. Timing is often mistaken for rejection when it is actually protection and preparation. What has been promised is not canceled simply because it has not arrived on your schedule. Delay creates distance between impulse and wisdom, between desire and readiness. It allows growth to catch up with intention and maturity to meet responsibility. In the waiting, patience is strengthened and expectations are refined. Delay exposes motives, revealing whether the pursuit is rooted in purpose or impatience. What arrives too early can overwhelm, but what arrives at the right time can be sustained. Delay teaches endurance, builds resilience, and sharpens discernment. It forces trust beyond urgency and faith beyond sight. What seems postponed is often being perfected, aligned, and positioned to arrive without destruction. Delay is not a closed door, but a controlled process, ensuring that when the moment comes, you are equipped to receive, manage, and protect what has been promised without losing balance, clarity, or direction. Delayed does not mean denied. Timing is often mistaken for rejection when it is actually protection and preparation. What has been promised is not canceled simply because it has not arrived on your schedule. Delay creates distance between impulse and wisdom, between desire and readiness. It allows growth to catch up with intention and maturity to meet responsibility. In the waiting, patience is strengthened and expectations are refined. Delay exposes motives, revealing whether the pursuit is rooted in purpose or impatience. What arrives too early can overwhelm, but what arrives at the right time can be sustained. Delay teaches endurance, builds resilience, and sharpens discernment. It forces trust beyond urgency and faith beyond sight. What seems postponed is often being perfected, aligned, and positioned to arrive without destruction. Delay is not a closed door, but a controlled process, ensuring that when the moment comes, you are equipped to receive, manage, and protect what has been promised without losing balance, clarity, or direction. Hear this, and hear it clearly. You didn't survive what you survived to stay where you are. You didn't endure the pain, the doubt, the waiting, for nothing. He's not late, he's not confused, and he has not forgotten you. Stand firm. Stay faithful, stay disciplined, because when God gives big blessings, he first builds big strength, and what's coming will make sense of everything you went through. Stay ready, stay rooted. Your moment is closer than you think. You'll recognize them